We know that testing facilitates subsequent learning of new information, a phenomenon known as the forward testing effect. This effect is typically studied in multi-list procedures, where each studied list is followed by either a retrieval test or a control task, such as restudying. And then new learning is compared on a final list. The forward testing effect is evident when recall of the final list is better for the retrieval test condition than the control conditions. In most studies of the effect, the interim tests include all material from the preceding list and only material from the preceding list. However, in educational settings, tests will typically include only some of the learned material, as well as material taught over multiple separate classes and lessons. So we wanted to test whether interim tests that are partial, so not including all studied items, and distributed, so including retrieval of items from earlier lists, are as effective in enhancing new learning. We also wanted to test whether any benefits of partial tests would be offset by retrieval-induced forgetting, where retrieval practice of only a subset of items can impair recall of untested items. In addition, one explanation for the forward testing effect is that testing reduces proactive interference by inducing context changes. So we were also interested in whether partial tests are sufficient to reduce proactive interference, which we measured by the number of intrusions, which are incorrectly recalled words from prior lists in the final list test. In 3 experiments, participants studied 4 lists of 12 word pairs. In experiment 1, we compared a full test group, which was tested on every item in the previous list, a full restudy group, which restudied every item in the previous list, and a new distributed test group, which tested only 8 items in each test. And these items were a mix of items from the immediately preceding list, as well as earlier lists. We found that this was successful in enhancing new learning in the final list, and it also reduced intrusions. In experiment 2, we found the same result when comparing the distributed test group to a better matched distributed restudy control group. And when comparing untested items, there was better recall of untested items in the distributed test group than the distributed restudy group. So there was no evidence of retrieval-induced forgetting. In experiment 3, we wanted to test whether testing fewer items is still sufficient to enhance learning in a high-powered experiment. So we compared test and restudy of 12 items, 8 items, and 4 items. In each condition, there was a significant forward test effect and a reduction in intrusions. There was also no difference in the magnitude of these effects between conditions, and we didn't see any evidence of retrieval-induced forgetting. So what we find is that testing of all studied material is not necessary to produce beneficial effects on new learning or to reduce proactive interference. And there was little evidence that the benefits of partial and distributed tests are offset by a cost of untested items through retrieval-induced forgetting.